Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Vidyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastuma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishwotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha Samastajana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Hari Om, salutations to all. So we saw about Raja Prthu and his Upadesh to the Praja, where he speaks about his duties first, that the duty of the king is to protect the people, Rakshita Vrittidaha is to ensure that everybody gets proper livelihood, the economy progresses, each one is able to do their own swadharma, and those who are lawbreakers, those who are the unruly elements, they are given the appropriate punishment as per the law. And he said, Praja has chosen and kept me here as the king. And also further, we see that he says those leaders and kings who take taxes but don't do anything, they incur a lot of sin. Then he says that there is an entity called the Supreme Lord, Astir Yajnapatir Nama, Deshanchid Arha Sattamaha. So he is the Pratinidhi of that Supreme Lord. Ishwara is the Pratinidhi of that Supreme Lord. And so he says that the duty of the king is also to spread the knowledge of Dharma in the kingdom. Because if the Praja is adharmic or they do any sins, the karma phala also comes to the king. If the king has not ensured that the knowledge of the Dharma is given to all, then we see that he goes ahead to say, one should worship that Supreme Lord, not only know that that Supreme Lord exists, but also worship that Supreme Lord and take the refuge of that Lord to purify one's mind. Now he goes on to say that this Supreme Lord himself is not only Yajnapati, is also the Yajna in the form of Yajna also. So the Supreme Consciousness, attributeless in essence, and he manifests himself in the path of the ritual, in the form of a sacrifice, possessed of many attributes. So that's why we say Yajna vai Vishnuho. In the 3rd chapter of the Gita, when Bhagavan says Yajnarthat karmano yatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha. Any karma done other than the Yajna Bhavana, where the dedication is done to the Lord, all those karmas will bind. Tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Do actions dedicated to that Lord, who is manifesting in the form of Yajna. As the ritual also, who is the Yajna Pati also, and who is the result of that Yajna also. See that 100th Yajna that he was doing, Raja Prthu, which was, Indra tried to stop it and the whole story that we saw. But Bhagwan manifested in that Yajna. Then that Yajna is successful. So, Yajna is the form of the Lord. Yajna Bhavana is also important that we have so that we purify our mind and selfishness does not increase. So our karma is dedicated to Bhagwan, so then that is Yajna Bhavana. Yajna also is Bhagwan form. The result of this also is Yajna only, is Bhagwan. When a ritual is done, devatas are pleased. Ultimately, it is Bhagwan who has to be pleased. So he says that the Supreme Lord is the one who manifests in this form, and goes on to say that just like the fire manifested through various pieces of wood appears endowed with their peculiarities. Fire by itself does not have any form, but suppose it is burning in a round piece of wood or in a cylindrical piece of wood, it appears to have taken up that shape. But by itself it has no shape. Same way, Bhagwan appears in certain forms and as though he takes up attributes, but he is all pervasive, he does not have any attributes. And that same Lord who is manifesting as the Yajna, see, the word Yajna has a lot of deep connotations. The entire creation itself is a result of Yajna, and Bhagwan is appearing as this whole creation. Purusha Suktam explains that in detail. That same Lord who manifests as Yajna, who manifests in creation, is also manifesting as Buddhi in us. So he says that manifesting himself through the medium of the intellect, meaning that infinite consciousness identified with one Buddhi, one mind, one body appears as the Jiva, but it is infinite consciousness alone. That's the Vedanta aspect here. In the body, which is a product of Prakriti. So using that Prakriti, that Supreme Purusha manifests through that, and as though appears as one finite individual, but actually it is the infinite Lord alone who appears. The time, latent desires, destiny appear as the fruits of various religious rites as well. Now, there's a nice shloka, which is shloka number 37, where he says that may the luster emanating from the ruling Kshatriya race through their great affluence and power never overpower the Brahmana race and the votaries of the invincible Lord Vishnu, shining brightly through sheer forbearance, austerity and adoration. So the Brahmana race, again, we should remember this goes by the qualities, not by birth alone. And that's why they've given the forbearance, austerity and adoration. Vidikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha. Meaning, when one has power, see, many people say, no, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. But that will happen only when that power is not surrendered and dedicated to something higher. The king or the leader who has the sense of dedication and surrender, especially to Bhagwan, will never misuse power. And to give that clarity, to give that samskar, to help the Praja as well as the Raja, both the Brahmanas are very important, because through them the knowledge of the scripture will go to the masses as well as to the king. Both will live dharmically, both will have bhakti towards the Lord. And the king also, who has that devotion, dedication to Bhagwan, will be humble and rule the Praja with that bhav of selflessness. So the purpose is not to say that Brahmanas are the supreme, everybody is below them, all are inferior, Brahmana alone is superior. That's not the objective. That some people misuse it, that any power gets misused or any position gets misused. That's not the fault of the position or the power. Hanumanji ruled, Hanumanji had such great power, but all surrendered to Bhagwan, and Ram Kaj Kari Beko Atur. Vibhishan ruled, Dhruva ruled, so many great people, the kings, when they have ruled, when they have devotion to Bhagwan, they have ruled with such humility and such clarity. Janak Maharaj, Ashwapati, Ambarish Raja, so many. So when the power is used for selfless purpose as a means to help the praja, then it will not corrupt the minds of the people. So here it is, he says that the power that Kshatriya race has, may it now never overpower the Brahmanas, meaning that Kshatriya Tej and Rajoguna and the dynamism should never be used to subdue Brahmanas. And because subduing Brahmanas meaning subduing the scripture, the time-tested wisdom, and the ego has to rule, and which is what so many kings did. When people say Ravan was such a great man, how was he a great man? He was a great Pandit. He read Vedas also, and he was devotee of Lord Shiva also, and he was, Veena player and what not people speak about him. And then they write Ramayana from his standpoint and all kinds of things they do, because the fundamentals are not clear sometimes. How did he use his devotion? How did he use his knowledge? What did he do with all the power that he had? Did he serve? Ego only ruled the roost. Did he promote the scripture? Did he promote bhakti? Did he promote Ishvara? He promoted himself. And for his adamancy, the entire Lanka and his own dynasty, everybody died. All his children died. Meghnad and Akshakumar, they all died. His brothers, Vibhishan, had to leave him and go, and Kumbhakarna died, and he himself also died finally. What is so great about that? How can we justify Ravan? And there are fools in this country who will celebrate Ravana Jayanti, and there are greater fools to follow these people also. So Hiranyakashipu is there, Ravan is there, Hiranyaksha is there, so many kings like that who did not use their power, and they in turn suppressed. Hiranyakashipu said nobody should worship Ishvara and nobody should take Narayana's name, and no rites, no rituals, no scripture. Their Brahmana race gets overpowered, and this rule. You see in the countries also, many countries, today what has happened to China? Some years ago, some 7 decades now, we have gone through that in our country also. Chinese culture, such a beautiful, glorious culture, but today completely it is subservient. That spiritual culture is subservient to the communist ideology. Same thing happened here in our country also, 7 decades. Brahmana race gets overpowered. I am talking about true Brahmanas who are like this, with austerity, with forbearance, adoration, all that. That is the fall of that society. So when we chant, in the prayers to Bhagwan, we say Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha. स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्य परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोका समस्ता सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी सस्यशालिनी देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भयाः. When we say all this, it has so much of meaning here, because if Brahmanas are nirbhaya in the country, they will be able to promote this glorious spiritual culture, and the whole society will prosper and become happy, both. Otherwise, materialism one can keep promoting, and the technology and glitter and glamour and whatnot. But happiness, look at our condition today in the whole world. Stress, worry, tension, anxiety, young people committing suicide, drugs, terrorism, violence, whatnot. And we swing to two extremes. One extreme is all religions are saying the same thing, everybody is same, everybody is equal. No, they are not. That is one extreme. Other extreme is religion is the cause of all sorrows in the world. Religion has caused so much war. Religion has caused so much of anguish. Some religions may be doing that. Why have you put all religions into it? And war is caused because of some fanatic ideology, which some religions may have. Not all religions have the same fanatic ideology. And also see how much religion has helped people. That one doesn't want to see. So today, so many people get carried away by this. No, we don't want to do anything with religion. And those will be all Hindus only who will say all this. So here it is, the king is saying that may the Brahmana race not be overpowered by the Kshatriyas. Meaning Brahmanas should do their duty. Please understand here, in that the meaning is not that Brahmanas are superior as human beings. It means Shastra is great. Scriptures have to be promoted. Ishwara Bhakti has to be increased. Dharma Samsthapana happens. People should do their duties. Each one should know as per their varna what their temperament, which is the profession that they can choose. According to their ashram they live. All that is through the education. Brahmanas run the education, the gurukuls, etc. And they give this knowledge to people, and the dharma vyavastha happens in the society. That is the meaning. To extol this higher ideal, Raja Prthu says that Bhagwan Vishnu also adores the feet of Brahmanas, and so the Mother Lakshmi is there with Vishnu Bhagwan because of that. He says, he won Lakshmi who never leaves him, and a glory which sanctifies the whole universe. So he says, may you also, he tells the Praja also that may you also ensure that following as you do the righteous conduct of the Lord, pray, adore in all humility and with your entire being the Brahmana race, by serving whom that independent Lord who dwells in the heart of all is supremely pleased. That's the purpose. The worship of the Brahmanas is for us to develop devotion towards Bhagwan and to please Bhagwan. And also the idea here is that Brahmanas don't have a vocation. They are not earning. They don't have a job. They don't have a business. They are not doing any kind of labor or anything where they get their fees. People, they live in this tyag and tapasya, and the society supports them. And that's why Brahmanas get the dakshina. Whatever the people feel, they will offer depending on whatever the economic condition is, and Brahmana lives on that. That's why it's the life of Tyaga and Tapasya. So he says that the society has to take care of them. Then their knowledge, through their knowledge, they will take care of the whole society. Then he says that Bhagwan also likes the more than the rites and rituals which are done. If you feed the Brahmana, Bhagwan is more pleased with that. Because the Jataragni also is one Havan, it's like a Agni, and the body also becomes like a Havan Kund. The food becomes the Ahuti. So he says that do the basically Annadan for the Brahmanas. Then he says that equipped with reverence, austerity, commendable conduct, self-control, chariness of speech, and concentration of the mind, the Brahmanas ever retain in their memory the pure and the eternal Veda, in which the universe can be seen as in a mirror. Beautiful. All these are very nice qualities that are given. Yad Brahma Nityam Virajam Sanatanam Shraddha Tapo Mangala Mauna Sanyamaihi Samadhina Bibhrati Hartha Drishtaye Yatre Damadarsha Ivava Bhasate. This is the 42nd one. All these qualities, what I just said now, all those are mentioned here. So he says that such are the Brahmanas. Again, nowhere it is said by birth who are Brahmanas. All these qualities are listed. And such Brahmanas, what do? They remember the Vedas and they impart that knowledge to people. And the knowledge of the Veda, one who has, here he says, the Veda is such that the whole universe can be seen in the Veda as clearly as we see ourselves in the mirror. Meaning, is cell phone technology mentioned in the Vedas? It is not like that. It is not about the items in the world. It is about the principles with which we can live in harmony in this world with each other, with nature, and ultimately fulfill the purpose of human life. Because Veda will tell us what is dharma. The main two aspects of the Veda are what we see in Manusmriti. The beautiful line comes there, dharma jignasamananam pramanam paramam shrutihi. Those who want to know what is dharma, then the supreme pramana. There are various pramans or the means of knowledge to know what is dharma. But the supreme of all of them is the Veda. What is the Vedic knowledge saying about right and wrong, about duties, about the roles we play? Now that is the main authority. One who lives, one who understands that and has clarity about that will be able to live happily in the world. Even if they have to struggle because of living certain values, they are still evolving. That's the purpose of human life. So he says this is what the Brahmanas should do. They study the Vedas, they remember it, they impart that knowledge, and they have all these qualities: concentration of the mind, good conduct, austerity, reverence, all these. So he says, let me carry the dust of their lotus feet on my crown all my life. See that humility that he has in this. Teshamaham pada saroja renuhu maya vaheyadhi kiritamayuhu yam nityada bibhrata ashu papam nashyatyamum sarva guna bhajanti. The humility. This is the humility. He is avatar of Bhagavan. Plus he is a king. And yet he says that let the dust of the feet of such Brahmanas be on the crown all my life. Because that will destroy the sins of a person and all virtues also will come into that person. Why? Because humility is that. A king who remembers this always will ensure that the king does nyaya properly. That king will not get carried away by likes and dislikes, attachments and aversions, and that king will rule properly, do the duty well. All the other values will come into us when humility comes. Otherwise, many values we may have and we may be very arrogant and proud about it also. But when humility comes, this also has a deeper meaning that we must have an altar of surrender, where we surrender and let go of our ego, someone higher than us, greater than us. It can be Bhagwan, it can be Guru, it can be the Brahmanas, anyone. Where the ego will surrender and where we will be able to ensure that we live that higher way of life where we are not acting selfishly. So now he concludes by saying, Gunayanam Shiladhanam Kritagnyam Vriddhashrayam Samvrinatenu Sampadaha Prasidatam Brahmakulam Gavam Cha Janardana Sanucharascha Mahyam. So riches of all types will come to that person who is an abode of excellence, rich in moral character, full of gratitude, devoted to the elders. So may the Brahmanas, the Gomata, cow, so Brahmakulam, Gavam, and the Lord, Janardanaha, and his servants, 4. The Brahmanas, the cow, the Lord, and his servants or devotees, may they always be gracious to me. So this ends the Upadesh of Raja Prthu. Now remember, he started one yajna, and then in that he got up and he was addressing the whole praja. Now when he finished, so all these devatas, Brahmanas, great Mahatmas, everyone sitting there, they feel very delighted and they applaud him, and they say that the Vedic scriptures, in the 46th one he says this, Putrena jayate lokan iti satyavati shrutihi brahmadandahata papo yadvenotyat yadvenotyataratama yadvenotyataratamaha putrena jayate lokan. Scriptures say that with the help of a son, one attains the higher worlds. And with type of a son? A worthy son. So even a worst sinner like Vena will attain some higher level of evolution, Sadgati, because of a son like Prthu Raja. Now one will say this patriarchy. Why his son only has to be there? So 2 points to understand in this. Pum nama naraka trayate iti putraha. The one who liberates the forefathers as well as the present, the 2 generations basically, minimum 2 generations, the father and the grandfather. And of course, depending on their karma, the whole kula itself. But specifically the father, parents, father, mother, both. Pum nama naraka trayate, one who saves the parents from going through such terrible hell called Pum. Now that is also the etymology of Putri. So first point is etymologically Putra and Putri, their karmas are such. If their karmas are good, it will help the parents. There is no doubt. Like see, we saw earlier, that Prthu Raja, he said that if you follow dharma, if you worship Ishvara, it will help me also. Because Raja's karma and Praja's karma, they are interrelated. Same way the parents' karma and the child's karma is interrelated. What the child does will affect the parents, and what the parent does will affect the children. So, Umnamanaraka trayate, iti putra and putri both. That is first point, etymological. Second point is, when we go by the Gotra system, the girl goes to another family and her Gotra will change. So her karmas will influence the people in that kula now. Of course, it will influence even here. But technically, when we see the Gotra change happens and she goes to another Gotra and she serves in that family, takes their lineage forward, it has nothing to do with patriarchy. It is to also save the Y chromosome. This Gotra change happens for that. Because the Y chromosome has to be preserved. XX will get, XX means there will be 2, one from father, one from mother. Both chromosomes are X. Then there will be a girl child which is born. If one from the mother, which is X, and Y from the father, which comes, then that is the male child. Now that will be the Y chromosome is what creates that male child. Now to preserve that Y chromosome, how will you preserve that Y chromosome? Only when that same Gotra continues and there is male child keeps coming in that same family. That is how that Y will get preserved. Today you see that the Y chromosome is on the verge of getting eliminated. It's a challenge that the world is facing. That gender ratio in many places There are not enough men for the women to marry also. Forget marriage alone. In the society itself, the gender ratio itself is, the imbalance is there. There will be a lot of challenges. And many countries, societies are going through that challenge. So in our culture, the tradition, they have found a system whereby it helps in many ways. Sagotra marriage will not be done in the same gotra. Traditionally, in some cultures now they do, but then people also are very clear medically, it can lead to many complications, health-wise also. So that is one reason why they say this, that the putra will help the forefathers to avoid the health. Putri's karma also will help, but mainly it is because the putra takes the lineage forward and that Y chromosome is maintained and that gotra continues. Now somebody says, no, why should the girl go to that boy, go to the husband's house? Let the boy also change the gotra now. Have some thinking why the gotra system is made, what is the reason behind it. The boy has no idea. Simply talking anything out of the top of the head. Why should only girl change all the time? Now let the boy also change the gotra. What? For what joy? Another point we have to understand is this male, female, etc. is only a physical body. The same jiva who is today in a male body, tomorrow will be in a female body. Now that jiva also will go through the same thing. Will go to the next, will go to the, get married and change the gotra and go there. Now we don't see the deeper vision behind the scripture. Now we get stuck in some ideologies that people have vested interest to promote. And then in the name of patriarchy, smashing patriarchy, anything we want to do. So when he says here, this is also in the context that Vena Raja was such a terrible king, and then the Brahmanas created Raja Prthu, and avatar of Bhagwan happened through that. And how he has what the father was, and look what the son is here, and how because of son's karma, the father also gets the benefit of it. That's the main point to understand here, which we can apply in our life also, that there will be changes. There will be the effect of the karma of the children in parents' lives. And vice versa. Parents' karma will affect the child. So, here they say that the sinful Vena, who was killed by the curse of the Brahmanas, has been able to cross over the tortures of hell through you. You are suffering in hell, now he is able to cross over that because of the dharmic way in which Raja Prthu has lived, has devotion to Bhagwan, is doing his selflessly the duties. So again, some examples are given. Hiranyakashipu was about to descend into hell as a consequence of his blaspheming the Lord, but escaped it through the piety of his virtuous son Prahlada. So they say that you are the father of earth. That's why Prthu Raja, behind him, it is called, earth is called Prithvi. So may you live happy for numberless years. You have such devotion for the Lord. Having you for our ruler, we look upon ourselves as under the protection of Bhagwan himself, Lord Mukunda. So it is no great wonder on your part to instruct your dependents, because he gave this whole Upadesh and told the Praja how to live, told them what is his duty. So both of them know their duties towards each other. How nice is that? Today it is Ulta. Praja doesn't know its own duty. Raja doesn't know their duty. Both of them fight for the rights. And they have, each one forgets the duty towards the other. Such chaos. How beautiful is this here, that Raja tells the Praja first what is his duty, then he tells them what is your duty, and then how both of them live together. I mean, live harmoniously. So he says, no wonder on your part to instruct your dependents. robbed of our judgment by our own actions, going by the name of destiny, we had been wandering in this transmigration. So today you have led us across the darkness of ignorance, O Lord. Adya nastamasaha parayastvayopa sadita prabho. Brahmyatam nashtadrishtinam karmabhir deva sangmitaihi. Then finally he says that the Brahmanas, all of them, they say, Namo vivriddha sattvaya purushaya mahiyase yo brahma kshatramavishya bibhartidam swatejasa. A very beautiful one, where he says that you are that supreme Lord, most adorable person, who is in the state of Vishuddha Sattva. See, Vivriddha Sattva, Vishuddha Sattva means the same. Means the purest form of Sattva with very little Rajas and Tamas. Here they say unmixed with Rajas and Tamas, but obviously there cannot be only one guna. The two will be there, but they are only used for their qualities which are necessary. The binding aspects don't affect. Like the Rajoguna quality is dynamism. Tamoguna quality is sleep. These are necessary. The binding aspects of Rajoguna are attachment, Rajo Ragatmakam Vidhi, and Tamasic is ignorance and dullness and procrastination, all that. So unmixed with Rajas and Tamas means without the binding qualities. And mainly the Sattvic one. So that Lord took the avatar, and who inspires the Brahmana race, protects the Kshatriya community, and maintaining balance between both of them, he maintains the whole universe by his energy. That Raja, that Lord took the form of this Prthu Raja. So this way this particular chapter ends, chapter 21 in Canto 4. The Yajna is over, and the Upadesh also is over. Brahmanas, everybody explaining. They explained all this, and that concluded. Now, as this was happening, when they are praising Prthu Raja, now we go into chapter 22. So as the praising is just concluded, 4 very bright, brilliant sadhus, or the great seekers, they come there, the sages. So Maitreya Rishi, he says in this 22nd chapter, Janeshu Pragrinats, tune is different. Janeshu Pragrinats Vevam Prithum Prithula Vikramam Tatropa Jagmur Munayaha Chatvara Surya Varchasaha. 4 munis came there, Surya Varchasaha, shining bright like the sun. 4 Tejasvi munis came there. And when the king saw, along with whoever are the servants, attendants, all of them who are there, from where have these 4 come? They have come from Akash Marg. They have descended as though from the heavens. The king immediately recognized. Just imagine how it is to recognize even that time. No photograph, no ID proof, nothing. How do you know these are 4 Sanatkumars who have come? Intuition and selflessness. So this king, they were easily recognized through their splendor, which dispelled the sins of the spheres through which they passed. Now these 4 Sanatkumars, Sanak, Sanandan, Sanatan, and Sanatkumar, 4. There 4 are called Sanatkumars. That has come even earlier in Bhagavad Mahatmya, etc. So all of you know about them. So when they came, see this beautiful shloka here is shloka number 3. Tad darshanad udgatan pranan pratyaditsura pratyaditsurivotthitaha sasadasyanugo vainya indriyesho gunaniva. So what happens when elders, noble people, devotees, great Jivan Muktas, Mahatmas, when they come, one should actually get up, not only as a sign of reverence, but the Manusmriti also says that our pranas go out, and if we don't get up, they don't come in. Meaning the prana shakti of that person gets spoiled, gets destroyed. Karma shakti also gets destroyed. So what does the king do? He immediately gets up and he bows down also. Now one says, what is all this? If elders come and you don't get up, then prana shakti gets destroyed. Superstition, all this is. It is not. See this, it has both connections. Pranic connections also it has, because all our pranas are connected. That is the Sutratma. That is what the Mukhya Prana, it is called. Sutratma is total mind. Mukhya Prana is all pranas are connected. Like all the gross bodies are connected, that's called Virat. All Satya bodies are connected, that's called Hiranyagarbha or Sutratma. All causal bodies are connected, and consciousness enlivening through that is called Ishvara. Like that Mukhya Prana it is. Mahaprana, Mukhya Prana, whatever we call. So when some great people come, prana automatically will rise in us. When we rise with the prana, the bhav that we have will help us. That bhav of namrata will help, the bhav of respect, other will help. It's not that prana has gone out, does not come back. So anyway, that breathing in, all that is happening, but we are not talking only about breathing, we are talking about vital energy. When we don't get up, when we don't respect, when we don't have that attitude of humility, we don't bow down, what happens? We have alasya, laziness, some sloth, some lethargy, and some arrogance. Naturally, karma shakti will get destroyed. Prana shakti also will get destroyed. So it is both pranic level also and the mind level also it works. So here he says that King Prthu instantly rose with his courtiers and all other present there, as if eager to seize back his life breath. That's what it means. Seize back his life breath means that pranam pratyaditsuri uthitaha. Pratyaditsur iva uthitaha. It has gone out, now he has to get it back. That's a figurative expression. That had shot forth to meet those sages at their very sight. See here, the quotation is given. Our scriptures maintain that the life breath of a young man goes forth to meet his elders when the latter pay him a visit, and that it is only when he rises and bows to them that the life breath returns. And the quotation also is given. Urdhvam prana hyutkramanti yunasthavira ayati pratyuthanabhivadabhyam punastan pratipadyate. See that? Urdhvam pranaha hi utkramanti. The pranas, they go out. Utkramanti. Yunasthavira ayatihi. To meet the elders. Then pratyuthana abhivadabhyam. When he gets up and he greets. Pratyuthana and abhivada. Punastan pratipadyate. They as though come back. Otherwise they will go away with the elders as though, some figurative expression that is. So we may think it is all superstition, but it is not. You can ask energy healers, you can ask all these people, they will tell you how the prana functions. So he got up. Remember his avatar of Bhagavan. Huh? We should not forget all that. This is all dharma samstapana. So when we see how, in the Gita, Bhagavan says dharma samstapana arthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. This dharma samstapana does not happen only by killing the wicked. That is one part of Bhagavan's Leela that he will do. It happens in all these ways. Now he took the avatar of Raja Prthu, and he is doing so many rites, rituals, living in a dharmic way, doing his duties, gave the upadesh to the Praja, etc. He is showing through all his conduct how to live dharma. He has humility and he has respect for the Brahmanas, he worships the Lord, all that, all those things. Through that. So even simple acts like this, when great Mahatmas have come, he gets up. And the shloka here has one nice thing. Indriyesho gunaniva. That's the analogy that is given. So even as the mind runs forth to meet the objects of sense enjoyment, how the mind runs forth to meet the object of sense enjoyment, in that way our pranas also run forth. When elders, great masters come. Why? Because that is the presence of that person also that will invoke this response. Then our mind may have some laziness, lethargy, some skepticism. So we say, why should I respect anybody? That is our ego's play, our mind's play. But the body and the prana will give the natural response to get up. Gurudev used to narrate this. May not be there exactly in Mahabharata as it is, but a story where he would say that Krishna Bhagavan was supposed to come to Dwarka as the messenger of the Pandavas. Not to Dwarka, sorry, to Hastinapur. So when he is supposed to come there, his Duryodhana has told everybody, he is after all a cowherd boy. And, he is the one who has 16,008 wives. And he is a friend of these Pandavas. We don't have to give him any respect. Don't get up when he comes. And finally, he's coming as a doot, He's a messenger after all. And whose messenger? The Pandavas' messenger. And they are coming to beg for their kingdom. Nobody should get up. Let him come into the court and then we will deal with him. So everybody said, okay, as you say, sir, we will do. When Bhagwan entered, everybody got up. Then all the proceedings went on and then Bhagwan left. His Duryodhana was fuming with anger. He said, I told you all, don't get up. Why did you all get up? He said, sir, the first person to get up was you. You got up, and the moment you got up, now how can we be sitting there? Then we also got up. Duryodhana spontaneously got up. That's the presence of Bhagwan is that. He got up. Though he had told everybody, don't get up, we will not show him any ways, that everything big lecture he gave, but he himself got up. That's a spontaneous natural response. Prana also will recognize that somebody's prana is in a higher level of consciousness, higher level, higher state. The prana in others will respond like that. So Prthu Raja, he got up. And the analogy has given is that the mind runs forth to meet the objects of sense enjoyment. Then he gave them a seat higher than his own throne, made them sit there, washed their feet, and when they had accepted the arghya, washed the hands, washed the feet, all that, and taken their seat, the king, he was very, very happy. He was overwhelmed because to get satsang is not easy, and these Mahatmas have come on, by themselves. They are not invited or called specifically. They have come on their own. So he says here that overwhelmed by his esteem for them, worship them with due ceremony, his head bent low with modesty. With that water with which he has washed their feet, etc., he took some water, put it on his head, on his tuft of the hair, and It also shows his respect for all of them and his humility. And he had already said, that dust of the lotus feet of Brahmanas may it be on my crown and all that. So he does all this. So what he said, he is showing in the next chapter itself, we see that it happens. Now he addresses them. Hatakasana asinan swadhishne vishwa pavakan Shraddha Sanyama Sanyuktaha Prita Praha Bhavagrajan. Shraddha Sanyama Sanyuktaha, with great faith, with self-discipline, etc., that he was endowed with, he made them sit on these thrones made up of gold, and he addresses them. So what does he tell them? So Prithuru Aho acharitam kimme mangalam mangalayanaha yasya vo darshanam hyasid durdarshanam cha yogibhihi. So he says, what all meritorious deeds I should have performed, that I am blessed by your sight, which even great yogis find it difficult. They can't see the Sanatkumars. Sanatkumars are eternally young. They are not young, they are children. They are only 5-year-old. And they are in that form from the time of creation. They are Manasaputras of Brahmaji. Like that only they are. And Param Vairagis, they don't have any attachment or anything. No sensual vasanas, nothing. They were created so that they will take forward the creation, but they refused. They told Brahmaji, we are not interested in all this. We saw that stories earlier. So they didn't go that way. They walked the path of Nivritti Marg. Very interesting. We should know this. That Nivritti Marg does not mean only sannyas externally. Sanatkumar did not take external formal sannyas, but they are living sannyasi life only. So internal renunciation is the most important one in our culture. Externally, the renunciation has its own impact, its own importance and need. But the Sanatkumars are internal renunciates. And they lived like that only, full of dispassion, vairagya. In the spirit of sannyas they live. So he says, even these great yogis who have a lot of siddhis, they can't see you. Durdarshanacha yogibhihi. Kim tasya durlabhataram ihaloke paratracha yasya vipra prasidanti shivo vishnuscha sanugaha. He says, what is not accomplishable by people who are visited by such great Mahatmas, for whom Brahmanas like you and Lord Shiva and Vishnu and their attendants are pleased, because they have come on their own. Naiva lakshyate loko lokan paryatato pivayan yatha sarvadrisham sarva atmanam yesya hetavaha. So these yogis, these Sanatkumars, they keep traveling interlokas. We travel one country to other, but Naradji, the Sanatkumar, they travel between lokas. So he says that though you range through various regions, the world does not perceive you. And the example given is just like the cause of the world and the unmanifest cause, Mahatattva, are not seen by the people. They cannot understand. And they also cannot perceive the self. So that's the example given here. Yatha sarvadrisham sarva atmanam yosya hetavaha. Just as the visible creation and Mahat Tattva, which are causes of the world, are unable to perceive the all-seeing self. Because the all-seeing self, pure consciousness, is the ultimate source, the substratum of the whole creation. Identifying with the Maya becomes Mahatattva and this whole creation finally. So they are not able to perceive their source. It's like our BMI cannot perceive the consciousness. It is the enlivener of the BMI. So we cannot objectify. That's what the meaning is. It cannot be objectified. So why he has compared that to Sanatkumars? So Sanatkumars are like that supreme consciousness who cannot be objectified. So though they travel through many lokas and they go, they are not easily perceptible by the people. And just like in that example, the same pure consciousness in us with the regular BMI, which has its own limitations, impurities, we are not able to perceive. But same BMI, when it is integrated, tuned, then we are able to experience, oh, I am that consciousness. Same way, those people who have trained their mind, purified their mind, they will be able to see the Sanatkumars. Others can't see. And it's not only a question of some yogic siddhis, it's a question of purity of the mind as such. So though poor, those pious householders are indeed blessed whose house contains water, a mat of straw, or bare ground, the master himself and his servants, etc., worthy of acceptance by venerable souls like you. The person may not be rich, but if great Mahatmas have come to their house, even that person may have just basic necessities like a mat, a straw mat, and some water and all that. Still, those people are blessed. Worthless like the trees harboring venomous serpents are those houses which, though replete with all kinds of riches, are not hallowed by the holy water washing the feet of the Lord's devotees. He is a king and he is so happy that such great Mahatmas have come to his house, to his palace there. Because that is the beauty of that house, the glory of that house also, where Mahatmas, the holy dust of the Mahatmas' feet is there. Why? Because then the mind of that person, whoever is living there, will remain focused on Bhagavan and the devotees of Bhagavan. It is not to sanctify the house. People say, sanctify our house, sanctify our house. It is not to sanctify the house. That is anyway made up of inert things. It is to sanctify the mind of the people. That when the people remember that this house is visited by such great noble people, and not once at the inauguration time, continue to call them. Why? Because this is the house of Bhagavan. I am a trustee here, I am a servant here, I am only living here to do sadhana, and the great Mahatmas, they keep coming. Let them use this house for whatever reasons. They want to rest, or they want to study, they want to stay for some time, do satsang, whatever it may be. And I will serve. So with that bhavana, one says, that's why it is said that let the house be sanctified by the dust of the lotus feet, or the holy water of the great Mahatma's feet. So he says, welcome is your visit to this house. Swagatam vo vidashreshtaha yadvratani mumukshavaha charanti shraddhaya dhiraha bala eva Brhanticha. So welcome is your visit to this place. For despite your juvenility, you are ever self-controlled, meaning they are 5 years old, but they live always in self-control, observe great vows of celibacy, etc. And they follow the ways of the seekers of liberation. Mumukshavaha, it is said. So what happens after that? We will continue in our next class. Any questions for today?
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की मंगल मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अटकी, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल पैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया बावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की, मंगल आरती। मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयम् अग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते, पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः।